to the Alchemy of Awakening podcast on Awakening Airwaves. I'm Holly, an ascension visionary, here to demystify the awakening and offer an eclectic blend of monthly wisdom and grounded guidance to help you navigate your journey with greater ease. I'll share powerful tools like the Akashic Records, channeling the universal sphere, and more. I'll share insights rooted in love, ease, and the deep knowing of your inherent brilliance. You came to shine, and this podcast is here to lovingly support you in doing just that. Hello, everyone. It's Holly here. I'm so pleased to be here with you today and sharing what this month's topic is all about. Again, welcome to Alchemy of Awakening on the Awakening Airwaves podcast channel. And today we're going to talk about an important energy for people who are aware of their awakening, opening to what their purpose and mission is, bigger impact in their lives and the lives of people they work with. So this is really geared to those of you also who identify themselves as light workers, as maybe starseeds, as energy healers, as coaches, anyone who's here what I consider as a helper, that you say, I know what I'm here to do is to help. And part of what you're helping and who you're helping is yourself, but you're also here to help others find that place of thriving using the tools that you're here and passionate to share. So this energy that I'm speaking about today is the energy of receiving. Okay, so receiving energy. So we're going to break this down and really start opening up and thinking about it. So energy of receiving has to do with energy that comes towards you versus energy of giving, which is energy that moves away from you. But that energy itself at its core is exactly the same. It just depends on which end of that energy flow you are. So if I'm giving, the energy starts with me and moves towards someone or something else. So my energy is moving away from me out into the world in one way or another. Now, then there's the receiving part of it. So if I'm giving, there needs to be receivers out there. They could be clients, they could be family, friends, they could be the way I'm sharing my energy with the world through anything I'm doing. It could be podcasts, it could be blogs, it could be interviews, it could be all kinds of things. But the way I'm sharing the world with the world, including the energy work and visions that you hold just in your heart about what is possible in the world. So that's that giving energy. It starts with you and emanates out. So the flip side of that is receiving. So when one is in a receiving mode, and that means you're taking in energy that's moving toward you. It could be from someone else. It could be from the environment around you. It could be thoughts. It could be intentional energy coming towards you. It could be unintentional energy coming towards you, just basically like energy that's in the field around you. Okay, empaths are pretty familiar with the energy of receiving more in that unconscious way, because empaths tend to pick up the energy around them in the environment where it may not be directed at them, but it's in the energetic space where they are, and they absorb and they take it in. That's a form of receiving also. So again, there's giving, receiving. At its foundation, it's the same energy. It's just what end of the spectrum you're on, okay? Now, the energy of giving and receiving are really two halves of a whole, right? Two halves of whole. I think of them as a yin and yang. Together, they're a matched set. Having giving without receiving isn't a complete circuit, and the opposite is true. Receiving without giving, it's not a complete circuit. Now, one of the ways that's easy to get this and think about this is literally through the energy of our breath. Okay, so when we're taking in a breath, even if it's unconscious, which it typically is unless we're doing breath work, taking in a breath is receiving, exhaling is giving. So if you tried to play with this, I'm just going to give, meaning I'm just going to keep exhaling. There's a point in time when your body says that's enough and I need to receive more oxygen in. So you would naturally not keep being able to exhale forever and ever. Eventually, your physiology takes over and you're going to naturally take a breath in. So our breathing is this natural example of the balance of giving and receiving. And if we're not in that balance of giving and receiving with the energy of our breath, we literally are in a life-threatening situation, right? So we don't necessarily think about it with energy, but our life is enhanced on every single level when the energy is balanced between giving, and receiving. All right. Now, how has this looked for those of us on the planet for a long time, and particularly people who I work with all the time, who would identify themselves as light workers, change makers, visionaries, healers, coaches, all in that category? By and large, they're all givers. And I'm guessing you would identify yourself as a giver. And if you're a giver, you have developed that. You've exercised those muscles, probably over many lifetimes. And it's been a great success strategy. And givers are people who naturally want to share their energy out from them through, again, maybe it's the spiritual tools you're using, the energy tools, the coaching strategies. It could be in terms of how you caretake for other people. Givers tend to be empathic, as I already mentioned, and givers also tend to be easily attuned to the needs of the others around them. Okay? So you could be sort of energy seeking, like, how can I help? What can I do? What do they need? What does that group need? Okay? So there's a lot of value and a lot of positive energy about having highly developed giving awareness and muscles, so to speak. Now, what happens though when we're out trying to have a business in the world, or even in relationships, things like that, givers get tired. Have you felt that? Where you're putting out and you're not receiving back. How might that show up? In your business, it might show up that you're not receiving enough clients, or not the right kind of clients, or the kind of clients who are willing to pay the fees for your sessions and the work you do in a beautiful balance. Okay, because all of this giving and receiving conversation is about establishing a strong balance that creates a win-win energy in life. Okay. So if one is over giving, strongly developed giving muscles in relationship, it may be exciting in the beginning, whether it's friends, whether it's romantic, whether it's in business. You might give, and then find out that you're not receiving in kind. In a work situation, it could be that you're working really hard and you're not feeling like you're getting the recognition. Maybe you're being overlooked for promotions. Maybe people expect you to overwork because that's what you've done, and not think that that needs to be balanced out by time where you're not working so hard. I've worked with lots of people who've been in that kind of giving and receiving imbalance. The other way it can happen is in relationships related to other people. Again, romantic, friendship, family, where you feel like I'm giving, and eventually we get tired. It's exhausting because we don't feel that we're receiving to the same degree that we're giving. Okay? So that again gets depleting. Why does it feel depleting? It's because it's out of balance. People who are givers tend to say, well, I have to give more, I have to give harder, I have to give differently. And they keep trying that same strategy of giving, 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 giving. And the same thing can be in your practice, your business. If you're working for yourself, in this way, like you're out there as an entrepreneur and I'm giving and I'm giving and I'm giving and I'm not receiving back. Again, I know I mentioned this already. It could be in the form of not enough clients, not enough opportunity, not enough income, and that all those are receiving energies. Okay? What you bring into you are receiving energies. Now, what we're going to do is not talk about giving and receiving from the place of saying, oh, you've got these overdeveloped giving muscles. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's not going to change. If you're naturally a giver, you're going to naturally be a giver. So you're not going to hear anything about, oh, get rid of that. That would be unnatural. And it wouldn't be aligned with your general soul energies and your purpose and your mission. The key is to add in, so this is an additive conversation, a higher amount of awareness and exercising the receiving muscles as well, so that you cultivate a balanced energy for yourself in all ways of giving and receiving. That's the complete circuit. So you can look at it and say, I've really developed the giving. Now I'm going to develop the receiving. So it's not either or, I'm either a giver or receiver. You want to develop muscles of giving and receiving. So let's give you kudos, pat on the back for the fact that you've really developed giving very strongly. Now let's work at receiving. Okay. And before I talk about how we can start receiving, I want to share something with you. If you're a giver, because of this balance idea, right, of giving and receiving, givers tend to attract receivers. Okay. And receivers tend to attract givers. Why? Because it creates a beautiful balance. And so if you look at maybe your relationship history, again, friends, romantic, work relationships, if you're a giver, looking at those people without criticism, but are they naturally a receiver? You might notice yes. Okay. Again, we're not going to make them wrong any more than you're wrong for being a giver. They're not wrong for being a receiver. We have our natural foundational point of our energies, and all of us are growing to find this balance. So receivers through their life, they might find that they need to exercise their giving muscles, but that's not what we're here for today, because most of you are going to be identify yourself as a giver, maybe an overgiver, maybe an exhausted giver. So we want to think about this. Givers attract receivers, receivers attract givers. So there's really nothing broken in you except you have unconsciously attracted that match. Now, how do you not attract that match? Is to have the energies balanced within you of giving and receiving. Then what you have an opportunity to do is attract givers and receivers, people who have this in balance or more in balance or striving for the balance. Okay. So because you have it balanced within you, and we live in a magnetic universe, that what we are is what we will attract. If we have giving and receiving very balanced in our energy field, we're going to be able to attract other people and experiences that mirror that to us. And that's more satisfying to be in giving and receiving balanced energetic experiences and situations. So if you are a giver by nature If you are somebody who is noticing that your giving strategies may not be working for you as well anymore, or that you've just realized that there's more that you'd like to experience, because givers tend to work very hard and not feel very satisfied, again, seen, heard, or recognized by themselves, and also especially by the world around them. So it is exhausting. It makes sense that it's exhausting. So let's talk about, how do you begin to bring receivership energy into you? There's some really easy ways to start working with the energy of receiving, and I'm going to share these here. Now, this is the starting point, but the starting point will start shifting your energy, shifting your awareness. And awareness is the foundation of the catalyst for change. Nothing changes until our awareness shifts. When our awareness shifts, then we have that opportunity to start making new choices, noticing what's there, maybe speaking up for ourselves differently. Again, having new opportunity with awareness being that catalyst for change. So let's shift some awareness right now around the energy of receiving. As I've mentioned already before, the energy of receiving is an energy that flows toward you. Okay? So number one, what I like to do when I'm working more on the energy of receiving, because I am in that giver energy, and I've had to, for many years, work on opening up to a greater addition, I'm going to say, of receivership. Now, my natural tendency is to give, and it will continue to be that way. That's okay. But I'm striving to be able to receive more. And as I receive more, I can give more, but I can't give from that cup that's empty, right? So the first thing I do when I want to receive more is I start becoming aware of my breathing. Because literally our inhales, as I mentioned before, are receiving. So I start just mindfully going through my day. Maybe I'm just driving down the road, or I'm washing dishes, things that don't require my full mental attention, where you can kind of get into a different state, is I start making my breath longer, slower, and deeper. And as I am especially mindful of my in-breath. And while I'm breathing in, I am affirming to myself that I'm open to receive. So I'll show you an example of this. Just pretend I'm washing dishes and I'm wanting to become more aware of receivership and augmenting that energy in my life. So as I'm breathing in, I'll say, I'm open to receiving. And then I let the breath out. I'm not going to pay attention to the giving side of the exhale right now, because I know that I have that highly developed. And on the next breath, I'm open to receive. Or you can say, I am receiving this breath right now. Okay, so you're just becoming more aware of and intentional around breathing. Okay, that's one way to do it. Now, also, in order to receive, we need to be open and willing to receive. And sometimes as givers, we're not as acclimated to that at all. How many times has somebody maybe complimented you on something, the way you look, a job you've done, something you've said, and you have blocked it by saying, oh, no, this old outfit, oh, I had to work so hard on it. Yeah, I could have done better. How many of you have done that, right? That is literally blocking the receiving, because what was coming toward you was a compliment where you were seen and you didn't receive it. Literally, you did not receive it. So one of the things that you can do with the energy of receiving is start noticing all the ways that you can receive. Okay, so if somebody compliments you, one of the ways, and nobody's going to notice this, by the way, just say thank you so much. I receive that. Try it out. The next time somebody says, I like your shoes, or I love your handwriting, or I love that thing in your house, or I really appreciate what you just said to that person. Just say thank you. I receive that. Now, if saying thank you, I receive that feels like a little bit much, just say thank you. And in your mind, you can say, I receive that. What you're doing, again, is highlighting and augmenting that energy of receiving. You could go stand out in your yard in the sun and feel the sun on your body and say, I receive the warmth of the sun. You could sit down to a meal and, I don't know if you do a little prayer or anything before you eat. Whether you do or not, you can take that moment to say, I'm going to receive the nourishment, the tastes, the sights, everything about the beauty of this meal. So you're augmenting, again, that energy of receiving. You could be in the shower and really enjoy your shower. And you could say, I'm receiving the way this water feels on me as I'm in the shower. Okay, there are just tons of ways that you can start noticing, receiving, and you want to keep doing that as often as you can. Say, for example, you are walking up to a door at a store and somebody opens the door for you to go through. You could say thank you to the person, because the thank you is acknowledging what they're doing for you. And in your head, you could say, I'm receiving this. All right. Lots of ways to work with this energy of receiving. Now, why is this working? Because there's one of these laws of the universe that says what we pay attention to is what we get more of. Now, most of us pay attention to the things that are challenging, and we get into doomsday thinking or think about the ways things might go wrong. And that's a subject for another video at another time. But the idea here is that if what we pay attention to is literally what we're fertilizing with our energy, and our energy is that fertilizer that's going to make it grow. If we want to expand the energy of receiving in our life, what we can do is start paying attention to receiving. That energy is naturally going to grow. We can notice it more naturally happening in our life. And when we notice it more, it's exciting. It's exciting to receive. It feels good to receive. Okay. And again, we're not doing this at the exclusion of giving, but our energies have naturally been cultivated for giving already. Okay. So the other thing I like to do is when we're receiving, we're really drawing in energy from either a direct source or the world around us, the energy around us. So I will literally start on my in-breath or just with my visualization. I imagine my energetic field expanding, becoming more open, because a more open energetic field has more spaciousness to receive more of what's around us and what is possible. Okay, so, and none of this is happening with a demand that a particular outcome needs to happen. What you're doing is shifting your foundational energy to include receiving. Okay, and I've done this many, many times over the years where I might be stressed about something in my business, and actually my business will start getting quieter. And I went, wait, why is my business getting quieter? And then I recognized, oh, there was something that stressed me out. And so because of that, then I just take the time and I just start imagining my energy field opening up again and start open to receive more. What is it that you want to receive more of? Is it clients in your business? Is it connections with other people? Is it recognition in the world or at your job in an office somewhere? Is it recognition for who you are in your family and what your contribution is? No matter what it is, if there's more that you'd like to be receiving, start looking at this energy and not wait for them to change, whoever those people are, but work on your energy of receiving and notice what has that potential to shift. Okay, so again, the goal here is for us to start doing as much exercising of our receiving muscles as we've done in this lifetime and prior lifetimes for giving. We're not eradicating anything, we're adding in. Okay, so we want to live, in our world of polarity, right? This existence we're in, this dimension we're in, is a polarized field. There's giving and receiving, there's healthy, there's unwell, there's happy, there's sad. Okay, so we experience polarity and duality. It's okay, it's part of our existence here. But we don't want to necessarily say, oh, one is good and one is bad. What we're working toward is a holistic experience. Okay, so let's look at this holistic experience of giving and receiving being the catalyst to create a life that's in balance. And when your life is in balance, you actually feel better. You feel more solid. You feel more imbalanced. You're open up to more opportunity. This is an appropriate time to give. This is an appropriate time to receive. And when that's that way, you feel more engaged with life. Things feel more fair. Very often when people feel life is unfair, there's an imbalance in the giving and receiving energies. I'm not trying to oversimplify that, but it's true. There's an imbalance in the giving and receiving. And when it's like that, then you might have this tendency to say, this is exhausting. I don't want to do it anymore. And so looking at, am I in balance with giving and receiving? Now, the next part, and this goes to laws of the universe again, is the universe really mirrors us, because the universe is this field of infinite possibilities. So what comes into our field is matching our energy. So if we want to have an experience where, yes, I'm a giver and I'd like to receive, we don't need to wait for the world to change around us. Oh, I always choose the wrong partner because they're just selfish and it's all about them and I'm overgiving and I get exhausted and I can't be there anymore. Okay, you're not broken in terms of the type of person, or I thought I was moving into the great job situation and then it turned out to be the same job that in a different environment that I always have where I'm overgiving. Again, the universe mirrors us. So if we want to have a change in the world around us, we can be very empowered to create that change for ourselves. And as we become more mindful and open and allowing ourselves to receive, and that includes receiving from yourself also, when we're willing to receive from the world around us and we're more balanced experiences that feel more satisfying, where we're acknowledged for who we are and we're able to feel fulfilled, those show up more. Okay, so I'm going to invite you to play with the energy of receiving. What do you notice about your own sort of receiving muscles? What do you notice about your giving muscles? Where maybe could you bring in a greater sense of balance? And starting with your breath, starting with your awareness, starting with thanking people for the compliment, even telling yourself in any given moment, almost more like an affirmation or a mantra, is, I'm open to receive. I'm willing to receive. Or simply, I am receiving. Now, sometimes stepping into that of I am receiving might feel a little bit hard. And if it does, that's where you want to go to affirmations, or they're like mental focus points of, I'm willing to receive, or I am open to receive. Okay? Because remember also that you don't have to receive everything. You still have discernment to be able to say, this type of receiving is not exactly what I want, and this actually feels very aligned with me. So we're not abdicating our discernment about what's right and wrong for us, but opening up that energy of receiving so that you have that balance, interacting with the universe, the world around you, the people, all of that, where there's that balance of in-breath and out-breath, the energetic balance of giving and receiving. That's your point of thriving. That's your point where you feel great, you can freely share and live your purpose far more easily when you're in a balanced giving and receiving energy. I'd love to hear in the comments what you're experiencing with the energy of giving and receiving. Has this opened up anything for you? Because I know a lot of people don't think about this, and it actually can be simpler than you think to start playing with it. And that's what I'd like to invite you to do. Play with it. It doesn't have to become a job, like I've got to get really serious about the energy of receiving, but you can be playful with it. What happens if on a day that you decide, I'm open to receiving everything the universe has to give me today, and maybe somebody invites you to lunch and they gift you with lunch. Maybe you start noticing a lot of compliments. You start noticing and receiving in your field, and it's fun, it's playful, okay? So make it that way and let me know how you feel about striving for a balance of giving and receiving in your life, and see how it changes.